Welcome back to the Map for College learning community. My name is Ernest Manelli, founder of My Action Plan for College. And today's video focuses on the aspect of admissions yield. Many students and families and educators focus, with good reason, on admissions rates. So, for example, the percentage of students who apply to a particular college or university who gain admission. Some schools are extremely competitive, 5, 6, 7% admissions rate. Other schools are more favorable, more competitive, but still more favorable in terms of maybe being in the 20, 30% range. There are some other schools that might trend closer to 50%. Whatever colleges you're targeting for your prospective list of schools, I would encourage you to look at the admissions percentages, and I would also encourage you to look at the admissions yield. So, what is the yield, first and foremost? The yield would be the percentage of students offered admission who subsequently matriculate. And I'll give you an example. I've been studying trends in admissions for years throughout my educational career. And my alma mater, Harvard, in any given year recently, let's say from 2010 to the present time, Harvard's yield has been anywhere from 75, 76% all the way to as high as 81, 82%. So when you look at Massachusetts Institute of Technology, Princeton, Harvard, some really top schools with really high levels of name recognition and really consistent patterns of applications that come in year after year from all throughout the world, you will see a retention rate in terms of admissions yield. I think MIT recently was up near 80%. So let's take the MIT example. If MIT has a yield of 80%, that means for every 100 students offered admission to MIT who gained admission, 80% said yes and committed to matriculate. So obviously, you could never have a yield of 100%, even for the best of schools, even for the most fantastic of schools, because the reality is that students have choices. And for practical terms, you really need to apply to a variety of schools so that you have coverage, so that you will have some admissions prospects that say yes, and you will most likely have others that say, sorry, we, can't find a space for you. That's just the nature of competitive admissions. You need to expect some admissions offers and some rejections. That's just part of the process. Because after all, if you applied to every school on your list and you were admitted to every school on your list, you'd celebrate for 5 or 10 minutes, and then you'd realize, wait, maybe I could have aimed a little higher, you know. So it's just human nature. So as long as you have a competitive chance, and we can talk individually with each client about, with each student about their prospects and being realistic about what they should aim for, and not just realistic in terms of curbing your list, but also realistic in terms of some students need to aim higher than they think they're capable of. Some students need a little bit of a confidence boost. So when you're looking at schools and you look at the admissions yield, in general, the higher the admissions yield, the more competitive that school will be. And you'll notice certain trends between and among schools on your list. You might even notice more patterns of information that give you insight from the admissions yield than from the admissions rate. Because sometimes the admissions rate for a certain school can be affected by the context of the state in which that college or university resides. I'll give you an example. Many of the top colleges in the state of California are actually public colleges and universities. And the affordability factor for students from all walks of life, all economic areas of the economic spectrum. The truth is that if you get an offer of admission from something in the Cal State or the UC system, if you get an offer from the University of California system for any of their schools, you're going to get quality education at a really great price. So many times students from the West Coast, particularly students from California, if you have an in-home, in-state option that is affordable and promotes a quality education, then that means that the private colleges and universities in those states have to compete that much more to try to get students to come to their program, because theoretically, in many cases, not all, in many cases, a private university will be more expensive than a public university. Now, I am living proof of the fact that there are certain exceptions to that rule, because I attended a private university at a lower cost than I would have been able to attend my state public university. But that was an exceptional circumstance. If you get the right combination of need-based financial aid and merit-based financial aid, if the stars align, then you could have a less expensive option for a private school. But in general, public colleges and universities tend to provide a better affordability range for most families. So if you are in the state of California, in the state of Texas, North Carolina, Virginia, Wisconsin, Massachusetts, there are certain state of Georgia, for example, as well. There are certain public colleges and universities that have a national appeal and also a very loyal appeal within their region. So if you are a student from Virginia and you're applying to the University of Virginia and other colleges, public colleges in the Commonwealth of Virginia, then you might have some very viable choices between public and private options. So the private schools, the private colleges and universities that are located in states that have really nationally known state schools, I'll give you some examples. University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, University of Virginia, University of Georgia, University of Wisconsin, Madison, University of Texas, Austin, University of California, Los Angeles, University of California, Berkeley, University of California, Davis. You get the picture. So if you are a private college university in those states, you have to work that much harder to get the matriculation factor going in your favor. So my take home message would be, sometimes a school might have to offer that many more options in terms of admissions offers just to get the yield that they need to fill the seats for their incoming freshman class. So we can definitely talk as a discussion team, as a planning team, with you and your family to discuss what are the practical considerations for prospective reach schools, prospective target schools, and how the admissions rate and the admissions yield would come into play in terms of the competitiveness and the viability factor for you as an applicant. So once again, please feel free to like this video, subscribe to our growing educational YouTube channel. Thank you so much for taking time to watch this video. Have a wonderful day.